Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our first Investor Insights Online of the year. And of course, we're kicking it off with Laurie Champagne. Of course, it's a new year. Of course, you do that. I'm Bonnie Halfman. I write the weekly Startup One Stop newsletter. I'll put the link in the chat. I've been writing it since 2009. And yes, I am very opinionated when it comes to technology. I also work with founders on their pitch decks and talking points and strategies. I've been doing that for a very long time and work with people you know who are now household names. So always feel free to reach out. And I want to thank Joseph for hosting us. Joseph, tell us about you.
Thank you, Bonnie. Good morning, everyone. Happy New Year to everyone. Joseph Katz. I help startups grow. I've been doing startup marketing for 15 plus years now and been part of some exciting growth companies as well as some failures. So I've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly. I'll put my contact information in the chat. We try to keep the intros short. So good to meet everyone and looking forward to today's conversation.
And everybody should put their contact information in the chat, by the way. Laurie, welcome to you. Now, we can either go through the room and have people briefly introduce themselves so you know who's there, or you can tell us about you and your amazing background.
Yeah, why don't we do brief intros and then I could kick it off after that.
Okay. Uh, I'm going to start off with Natasha. I sent you her deck a while back, but I guess you've been busy.
Yeah, we've been going back and forth. It's been a
Oh, okay.
very busy season. Hi everyone. My name is Natasha Norrie Standard. I am the CEO and founder of two shoe companies. One notably Equal Footing. We make military grade combat boot size for women, and we just kind of we're talking to the Department of Defense yesterday. I'll tell you about that later, Bonnie. Also I own also a luxury shoe company that's everything's made in Italy, made for style and comfort for the professional woman, and we've been doing pretty well. And I'm glad to be here and glad to learn and network and meet everyone. Thank you.
And we're happy that you're back.
Mhm.
So, Terry, tell us about you and what you're up to.
Hi, Terry Carlone, CEO, co-founder of a company called Vidiant. We have a pretty simple mission, and that's to eliminate preventable chronic disease. We have a, a platform that we use to predict and prevent health outcomes. It's been used by pharma and food companies for product development, and then we're starting to launch some genetic tests this quarter.
Oh, thank you. So, Ian.
Morning, everybody. Happy New Year. I am COO of a company in LA called Virtual Film School. I'm based in Toronto. We're just about to relaunch our old business of making short, funny videos for marketing purposes. And I will post my contact info in the chat.
Oh, thank you. Adva, I'm just going through the list that's on my computer. Adva, you're next.
Good morning, everyone. Nice to meet you. My name is Adva Lev. I'm based in Toronto. I've been in the tech industry for the past 12 years. Super excited about it. And I recently started my own company, building a product to help students and teenagers to learn how to bridge into the current professional and business industry, since there's a huge gap over there. And very excited to join here.
And welcome. So, Marie, I'm going to have you introduce yourself because Marie and I know each other quite well.
Amazing.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm Marie Patterson, and I am the managing partner of Infinity Path Ventures, which is a fund that is investing in seed stage startups that are building AI infrastructure and quantum technology.
Thank you. I have D. Kocherov. Sorry if I'm butchering your name. D. Oh, you're muted. And can you introduce yourself? If not, we'll move on to Joseph Langton.
Yeah, there's more than one of us. So
I
good to
know,
be
that's
here.
why I said that. You
So
spelled
so
your
good
name?
to be here. I'm Joe. I live up here in Connecticut. Two-time Ironman, nurse practitioner in trauma surgery, and founder and CEO of Vital Element Inc. We are the first biomodulation and biofeedback vertical wellness platform. We're making these chambers, 100 square foot chambers that have 12 wellness modalities in it that'll be AI ran for individuals. So very ambitious, tons of fun, and we're just cranking along. We're in talks for about 1.2 million of LOIs and advanced talks to start development and manufacturing. So lots of good stuff going on here.
Yeah, fantastic. Those LOIs are very important. Founders, in case it didn't occur to you. Sharon.
Good morning. My name is Sharon Shanzer. I'm in Manhattan. This is not my apartment in the background there. I dream that it is someday. Thank you, AI. And I have two companies. The first one, which is the older of the two, is called RLD Group, the design studio. So through that company, I'm a web developer, web designer, and a print designer. So I do kind of everything: Shopify, WordPress, print, trade show stuff, everything. I've been doing that forever. And I have a newer company that's called What's Your Boulder, the Implementation Studio, which is a consultancy where rather than sort of give advice, I actually help people get stuff done. And in this case, people would be founders, executives, and so on who might say to themselves or out loud, geez, I wish I had 48 hours in every day, or I wish I could clone myself. Well, I am that clone, or I am that additional 24 hours. And my superpower is that I'm a kind of a generalist, and rather than sort of try to shrug that off as I had for many years because it was a dirty word. Now I've embraced it, and I can bring a lot of different expertise to the table and help people get stuff done. So.
No, we do recognize that Midtown background. And for the record, yes, I really am in outer space. Sophia. Sophia, you want to introduce? Yeah.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sophia. I'm joining from Cyprus. So it's like 17 degrees outside. Yes.
Celsius.
Yeah.
Much better.
I'm a co-founder of Butterfur. It's a platform where you can build and book your entire celebration in one place. Birthdays, baby showers, weddings. Yeah. And my co-founder is also here, Dmitry. Yeah, that's it.
So that's Dimitri who didn't want to introduce himself. That's
Dmitry.
Okay. So Laurie, take it away. Tell us about you and your background. And by the way, Laurie does have both an entrepreneur background and an investor background. So she's been on both sides of the table.
Yes, I have. I have. So I loved what Sharon said about being a generalist because I am a generalist, except I'm also an expert in a lot of different industries. I started, actually, my career started in customer service working at Nordstrom's, which is actually interesting because, I was on the floor at Nordstrom and they rotated me between different departments. So I got a really great retail background, and Nordstrom's known for world-class customer service. So I actually started my career in customer service. And, what was interesting when I was at Nordstrom, because that was kind of like the start, like, my first real job, I got to learn the entire store, firsthand, front end, back end, stock, all the way to actually, in men's suits and alterations in the alterations department. So I was in every department. And so I was the one employee who knew what was happening everywhere. So, at 18 years old, I'm having meetings with the general manager and with, all of the executives of Nordstrom's. And the San Diego store became the first store to have $1 million day during the anniversary sale. And so that was really the catalyst that started my career. And so I ended up actually focusing on customer service and worked in customer service through college. I went to Cal Poly in San Luis Obispo as a bio major. And what I didn't understand of going to a polytechnic school is that they make you take computer science and engineering classes before you can really get to your major. So that was an interesting, little push you into the deep end of the pool of getting into tech. And so as I was learning computer science and engineering and working in customer service, um after I left Cal Poly, I went back home to San Diego and I got recruited by Jared Polis, is now the governor of Colorado, he was in the middle of selling his company called Blue Mountain Arts, which was the first e-card company that really hit it big, got to over 50 million users. And what was really fascinating about that business, I actually consider it probably one of the first pre-social network companies. The customers kept asking about a physical product to go along with these digital e-cards. So Jared, he went to a local florist and he bought 40 bouquets. He put one link on the homepage of Blue Mountain Arts and he sold out of those flowers in less than 2 hours. So he knew he had something special. And so he did something revolutionary. He was in the middle of selling his business, Blue Mountain Arts, for about $700 million to Excite at Home, which was the Google of its time. If
Yeah.
everyone here who's old enough to remember Excite, we were all on Excite back in the day. We weren't on Google.
I'm still in touch with George Bell. Yep.
And he renegotiated the sale to actually allow him to have a sweetheart deal and access still to that 50 million user base. So by doing that, Pro Flowers, which was the company that he ended up founding, started with more demand than supply. And so we kind of built the business backwards. And Jared wasn't a flower person. He didn't know anything about the flower industry. So he actually accidentally built a tech company instead of a flower company. And we ended up building an e-commerce platform, which we called Pequod. And that platform is probably equivalent to what Shopify is today. And the first brand that was on the platform that was built was called Pro Flowers. And one of the things that we did at Pro Flowers was we actually partnered and had a patent where we helped create the FedEx Smart Label. And what that did is we were able to transmit data via the Smart Label, and by data, I mean it could be a drawing, it could be a card message, all kinds of information. Now we have QR codes that we can do, something similar, and there's, beacon tags and all different things. But back then, this was the first of its time and revolutionary. And we also created what we called the grower system, which was just really computers directly at each of our suppliers around the world, where we had real-time insights into the inventory of the flowers. So if something bad happened in the world, like let's say a hurricane came through and went through Ecuador and, wiped out all the flowers, or the flowers weren't in good enough condition to sell, we'd be able to instantaneously move all of our orders to another supplier in seconds. And so that level of transparency really, pushed Pro Flowers to become a leader online and one of the top e-commerce brands of its time. And we got to about a 38% conversion rate, and we knew
Wow.
we got to about 16,000 orders per hour. During our peak season, we got to $1 billion run rate if we kept going at that rate all year. And we really, did something very, very special in the fact that because we actually were a tech company that built this e-commerce platform, we were able to do something that a lot of brands don't do, is we were able to clone ourselves. So once we saw success in the floral industry, we kind of rinsed and repeated, and we started saying, well, what other industries can we go after? So we made Pro Plants, which, makes sense. Plants, flowers, similar thing. Then we did something super crazy. We did Pro Lobster. We did a gift company called Cherry Moon Farms. We did a steak company called Uptown Prime. So we were just doing business after business after business, cloning ourselves, and then moving our customer base and marketing to the same customer base over and over and over again. So we had kind of an internal growth funnel, and and then separate to that, and I'll come back to profiles in 1 second. I'm sorry, this intro is a little too long here. But second to that, Jared, because he sold his company Blue Mountain to Excite at Home, he had now a war chest because his plan was to go into politics. But he also had a family office. So the family office was investing and acquiring different businesses. And so I was tapped on the shoulder to go and work with him and work on the different businesses and entities that he was investing in and things that he was doing there. So I kind of had a dual role, so to speak. And the most interesting thing about my job at ProFlowers is I came in to manage customer service because that was my background and foundation. And so, as we were growing the company, I thought I had the most amazing and most qualified. I mean, I had people who went to Harvard and Princeton, all these people working for me. And I just wasn't told this one little thing that they put into the DNA of the company because they forgot to tell me because I was in charge of customer service. Every single employee in the company, no matter what title or role you had to start in customer service and learn the business first before they moved on to the real job. So I had the COO of the company, the VPs of the company, everybody was working for me. And so they got to know me and know that I had a tech, skill set and background, from my education. And I wasn't just a customer service executive. And so that aspect that was built into the DNA of the brand really was revolutionary because what happened is as we scaled and we had peaks during our peak season, Mother's Day, Valentine's Day, Christmas, um, if we had, spikes in calls, we could become our own internal call center. I could immediately, alert the whole company, everybody get on the phone. And then now we have a virtual call center in seconds of experts. And a few special things happened, like when our IT team and our CTO got on the phone, they learned directly from the customers problems or things that were, more important that they didn't prioritize. So we were able to quickly prioritize and fix issues for customers that would have taken a longer time because they were a lower priority on our IT priorities list. So the things that were happening at ProFlowers was it was truly a flat organization where everybody had dual roles, were trained in customer service and their whatever their actual position was. And that allowed us to be super flexible and nimble. And it allowed us to actually become a tech incubator ourselves. And that allowed us to do a few things. So we went public in 4 weeks. We changed our name to Provide Commerce. And when we went public, we started actually also acquiring companies. So we acquired Sherry's Berries, which is berries.com. We acquired Personal Creations. We just started, acquiring companies that fit or that had a similar customer base that we could continue to roll our customer base over to these different entities and scale. So ProFlowers for 10 years in a row. Um, became one of the top 10 converting websites in the world, independently tracked by Nielsen Net Ratings. So that was the start of my career. And I got to work with everyone. And so because we had an e-commerce platform, we started building flower companies and gift companies and websites for other people. So we built Costco flowers for Costco. We built uh, Martha's Flowers for Martha Stewart Living Omnimedia. We built a flower company for Kroger and Wild Oats and 7-Eleven and just so many, and Sears Flowers we built for Sears. So we, had the thing, if you can't beat it, join them. So we basically partnered with, bigger companies and we ran their flower division. And so we really controlled the market. And even though there were bigger companies in the floral industry from FTD to 1-800-Flowers, et cetera, we came in and took away a huge amount of market share very, very quickly. And that uh, actual process of first building a platform, then building the websites on top of the platform, and then building and marketing that brand is actually the skill set that I have and that I've done throughout my career. After that, I did the same thing at Skechers USA. I built the e-commerce platform internally, all of the different brands from Skechers, Skechers Work, Mark Nason, Mark Echo, Tap Out, Zoo York, All of these brands were run on the e-commerce platform at Skechers, making Skechers the number two footwear company in the world. Um, Even though technically they don't count it because they don't count the licensee revenue as their own, but it is Skechers is actually the number two footwear brand in the world. And for my current position and companies that I own, we did the same thing. We built an e-commerce headless platform that has an agnostic shopping cart. So right now our shopping cart is with BigCommerce, but we can move it to Shopify. We can move it to any. Our cart is completely, flexible. Um, in the automotive industry. So we own autoparts.com, 1-800-battery.com, carbattery.com, and a few others in the automotive space. And so we're the largest D2C automotive company in the US. And our brand actually is very different because, parts like car batteries are heavy, you can't really ship it. So most brands, were never able to bring these type of products very efficiently and profitably to direct to consumer online. And we were able to do it by actually creating this hybrid model where, if I was to describe what our business is, it's like if you took Amazon and DoorDash and had a baby, that's what we built in our platform. And so we're able to, if you're stuck on the side of the road, we can send a car battery to you, the exact battery for your car, not just a generic one, in 2 hours or less. And you could see them coming like Uber on your phone. Or if you'd rather schedule an exact time and date to deliver or a future date to deliver, you can schedule your delivery of your car battery or auto part. So,
Wait a
so
minute,
that
are they when they do, I'm just this is fascinating. When they deliver the battery, do I have to install it or the installer?
no, we install it for you. It's do it for you. Yes.
Too
Yes.
bad you don't do snowblower batteries. My husband needed one last week.
Yeah. Well, you should have called 1-800-battery, Body.
Oh, they have those that. Oh my God! Now she tells me next time
Yes. Yes,
thank you.
next time call 1-800-battery. We got you in 2 hours
Okay.
or less.
Oh,
And
thank you.
and the thing is so we revolutionized that industry because everybody's used AAA and it's just such a terrible experience. You're stuck on the side of the road. You could be there 6 hours. You don't know. And
Yeah.
they keep calling you and saying, "Oh, someone's coming." Oh,
Mhm.
oh, they call you again. "Oh, we changed the driver. Someone else is coming." And so especially if you're a female, that's not really the safest thing to know if someone, pulls over. Are they really AAA? Is this the person, et cetera. So we really um, you know, revolutionize that market by giving you more transparency, more safety. You see who they are. We have, our drivers are all, have all background checks. And so we grew the company to have about 3,000 independent contractor drivers that work for us, that are skilled and trained in all the different types of vehicles and places where car batteries are. And we ended up partnering with DoorDash because DoorDash has 3 million Dashers. And the reason why we have the strategic partnership is, DoorDash's issue that they had is if they don't have enough lunches for people to pick up, the Dashers will leave their network and go and do Uber or do something else. And then maybe they may not come back. So to stop that attrition, they need to really give them, a lot more business of things to do for picking up. And for us, having a dasher pick up a car battery from the different companies that we have, our own warehouses or companies, like Pep Boys, AutoZone, whoever that we partner with, um, the skilled technicians that we have, they can just focus on the installation. They don't have to also go and pick up the car batteries. And so we're saving money. DoorDash is saving money in this partnership, and it's just a beautiful thing. And so that's also something that I'm really, really known for is doing really, great strategic partnerships and actually putting different industries together that most people would say don't make sense, but actually do make sense if you're looking at it from the customer or cost savings. So I hope that intro it's a little long, but that kind of gives you a sense of my background and what I do. And on the investment side, I have a couple of companies that we do investments. One of them is super special where we help invest a lot of professional athletes' money. And so we're able to provide them with the due diligence that they need because they're not experts in a lot of different industries from technology to CPG, et cetera. And so that's one of our companies. Our family office for we haven't named the platform that we have doesn't have a name, but our family office, we basically, because we're technologists, we either build ourselves or we invest in different companies. And we also acquire companies. And so we actually acquired a sneaker company called Drip Creations, and we're going to be relaunching it this year as a where customers will be able to design their own instead of our artists designing for the customer. And so that's launching this year. And my partner and the chairman of all of this automotive and sneakers company is Richard Keller. And he has an amazing automotive background. He has an ERP company called Keller Systems. And also, he was the former president of Doc Martin Shoes. So we both have a technology and fashion background. And so we were like, we have to, join forces and build all these companies together. And so that's what we've been doing. And we invest, we advise, we do calls like this where we work with founders and try to pass on some of the knowledge and skill set that we have because we've been able to work with a lot of the great brands that people know.
Thank you. I was going to ask about the investment side. In fact, I know somebody who's got military boots. Oh, wait a minute, you know her. So any questions? We have a few latecomers. I might have to shut off my video because I'm getting a low internet connectivity notice. So, Alec, take it away.
Yeah, Laurie, is your contact info in, or Bonnie, could you?
Yeah, I put
You put
two.
her cell phone number.
Yeah, I put my cell phone, my email, and I did it twice because the one last thing I wanted to mention is so I was the head of e-commerce at Tom Shoes and I scaled that to nine figures in 11 months. And the founder of Tom's, Blake Bukowski, he tapped me on the shoulder a few months ago and asked me to help him with his next initiative. So and the reason why I've been, out of the loop, so to speak, is we just launched 2 days ago. We Are Enough. It's a nonprofit that owns a for-profit company. And the for-profit company, 100% of the profits are going to mental health organizations. And basically we're selling the main hero product is a bracelet that's handmade that we give you two, one for you and one to give. Blake Mikowski, he founded Tom Shoes and founded the whole one for one movement, where at Tom's, for every pair of shoe sold, we gave away a pair to a child in need. And so he's kind of flipped that business model a little bit. Instead of the brand, doing the giving, he pushed the giving to the customer to have that direct connection on the giving side. So that's the new company. It just launched 2 days ago, weareenough.org. And yeah, so both of my contact information for both businesses I put in the chat.
Thank you. So, Alex, you want to introduce yourself? Yes, you.
Good morning, and Happy New Year. So my name is Alex, and I'm a finance geek, investment banker by background, but more recently private equity with a focus on specialty lending. So think like factoring, asset-based lending, working capital finance, and even more recently than that, a first-time founder of a AI agentic company that is providing that type of software, enterprise software for specialty lenders. So slight change, but not too far.
And Andrew, do you want to introduce yourself? Andrew Perry, you're muted at the moment.
Yeah, happy to, and thanks for hosting this morning. My name is Andrew Petrie. I'm based in New York. I started a services business a few years ago, and that has evolved into an AI company. My background is vertical application software. On the business side, I am not an engineer, and really what we're building at Mikase is the name of our company, like omakase, to trust is what it translates to. We're building agentic booking infrastructure for local commerce. So we've started off with home services, and really kind of what we sell is a higher converting lead form on websites and ad forms to marketing agencies that build websites and do ads for local service businesses. Sort of the direction that we're going in is more of a community infrastructure layer where a lot of realtors and communities that already have supply and demand use us as a white labeled concierge. So sort of the future that we're building and seeing is you can just text a number, get personalized recommendations, and the plumber that you need will just show up at your door, versus spending a whole bunch of time online looking for the plumber. So that's a little bit more about what we're building. Thanks again for hosting. This has been interesting.
Oh, good. So questions, Ian?
I've got a few,
I'm sure.
but I'll keep it short. But
You can ask as many as
so
you
Laurie, you're involved in like so many things. I
Yeah.
mean, how do you stay on top of all these projects simultaneously without going crazy?
That's a great question. And the thing is, I'm actually doing the same thing over and over again. So I actually have a lot of time. Well, right now with this nonprofit, my time's gonna go back to normal in about a week or two. But I stay on top of it because I like stack what I do. So if I'm launching or doing something, I like to launch brands like at the same time. So I'll do two or three at the same time. And so if I'm going and having meetings and doing stuff, I'm covering multiple things. Sometimes I'll have Zooms and I'll bring in, three or four different people from different businesses at the same time to go and handle all of it. And so that way I don't have to have like 10 meetings with all these different people to pass on all this information. I'm like, join me in my meeting,
Right.
get it firsthand from the person. And so I do little hacks like that to stay on top of things.
Very cool. Okay, well, I won't want to monopolize, so I'll let somebody else ask a question. Maybe I'll come back.
I just wanted to say Blue Mountain. I was real young when that launched, but I remember that was the coolest thing. I sent my grandma those cards because they were free when I started, and I was so happy because I couldn't afford anything because I was young, and she was so impressed by them. So personal connection there.
Amazing.
I love the name too because no, I'm actually from San Diego. I love that you're in San Diego, but before San Diego, I was in Colorado. They're Blue Mountains. I'm like, that's so cool.
Oh, so
Yeah,
go
I
ahead.
have a question. Yeah, since we are building something close to your business, we are building a marketplace for events. Yeah, and I'm wondering what were your two biggest challenges at the start, and maybe two best decisions you made, which made a difference in the future.
Hey, good question. So I'm gonna actually tell it from my partner's perspective from on the automotive side for our automotive business. So he actually went to some of the top automotive brands because he's a full stack engineer and also a forensic accountant. So, and he was like, I have this idea. I want to build this for you. And they laughed him out of the boardroom. So, and this was right before COVID, and then COVID happened. So he was at home in his home office, and he just, put the pedal to the metal and just started coding and built the platform. But the thing is, it started with a problem. He has a boat, and he's in Orange County, and he needed a battery for his boat. And he was Googling and trying to find, the exact battery for his boat. And Google kept sending him to these faraway locations. And he was like, there's got to be a battery for my boat here in the OC where there's just tons of docks and boat owners. There's no way that there's not my battery here, And so he realized that infrastructure logistically was broken. And so the business was actually built backwards from starting with the problem. So we had, a solution to this problem, and that actually became a big moat because what he did immediately was we started contracting with all the different suppliers and locked in the supply like nationwide to us. And so that aspect and long-term contracts and long-term deals to really become a strategic partner for these companies. And so that actually really protected us because other companies came into the play. Amazon created Amazon Now. There's just all these different, companies, doing a similar type of platform, but we've locked in the automotive industry. So if Amazon wants to get into the automotive space, and they have come to me, they have to deal with us because we've got the supply chain locked in. So that was, one of the big challenges was that, this infrastructure didn't really exist. And so having to go and build that from scratch, that was a difficult challenge. And then on my end, for me, um, it really was because I was so young and a girl in the tech. There's not very many women in tech, so it was a little bit of a challenge for people to believe that I had the expertise that I had because of my age, of, I literally, it's almost unbelievable the companies that I've worked with. And so, there was one company we were moving from Magento to SAP, and the team at SAP literally refused to meet with me. And so I would see them in the rooms, meeting with our CTO, and I was just like, interesting, okay. And I waited until they got stuck. And then they had to meet with me. And then after I explained how I built the entire website and platform, they had to throw away everything that they were doing for weeks. And they actually had to pay a penalty to the company because they lost so much time because they had to start over and redo everything because they were actually building out the project incorrectly. So I would say, um, a lot of people, because my title was more of a marketer than in tech, and I'm not a developer. But I have built over 100 websites, and I do know how to read code like nobody's business. So it's really, understanding technology, AI, and working with that. I have a very, very strong background in all of that. And even though I'm not myself a developer, so that would actually be the my biggest challenge was if I actually did, become a full stack developer like my partner, that would be kind of the next level for me. So that's like my big challenge there is that I'm not a developer.
Okay, I have a question. I have a question. Ooh, did I interrupt someone else?
No, I was just going to say that you guys note to self, and I put a note in the chat that he built a defensible moat. Very important. It's a game changer. Go ahead, Natasha.
Okay. Hi, Laurie. Nice to meet you. I love your story. So this is kind of a longer question. So I design a military grade combat boot size for women, and the military does not offer this product. And so a byproduct of my design is that I have to get a license from the military to put the logo on the boots. So now I have the license. And so now I've been approached by the Army to provide logo slides to them in like huge quantities. And so, okay, that's where we're going this year. But what I wanted to know is based on that little bit of information that I've given you, what recommendations could you give to a smaller business to commercialize those products, especially the slides?
Okay, so where are you producing the slides?
I produce the slides in China. They're produced in China.
Okay. So I would say what you should be doing is actually looking at finding a supplier that can make it on demand, where you can actually have a little bit more flexibility in terms of because if you're talking about high volume and the military and how they do their buys, you want to make sure that you also have some backup suppliers too, because you need to basically, be able to not just scale, but scale safely. And then the thing is this is that like, when you're talking about military grade, et cetera, one of the things that happened at Skechers, why Skechers is in existence, is the founders of Skechers, they were the owners of LA Gear, and they actually had shoes that fell apart on national TV during the Final Four.
Oh, nice.
When that happened,
They got
they
booted.
got kicked out of LA Year. The whole senior team of Skechers, the Greenbergs, they were booted. And so after that, they went to China and they said, the next company that they build, they're never going to have a quality issue again. And so Skechers was founded on superior quality. And that's why they're a little bit heavier, they're a little bit chunky, etc. But the quality is hands down, perfection in terms of quality. While I was there, I actually got a note from someone who sent a picture of themselves, and they were on a plane wing on the river in the Hudson. And they wrote and they said, we were on this miracle flight and everybody was slipping and sliding, but I was wearing my Skechers work shoes with the anti-slip and I was fine. And so in terms of quality and what you're looking at, you want to make sure that you have the right supplier with the right quality that's going to be where the Army says, wow, this is like, phenomenal. And then the Navy hears about it and that, you know what I mean? So
Right,
the
exactly.
quality factor with the manufacturing that you're doing in China is important. But
Okay.
also too, you want to, as a startup, kind of business founder, if this is a new product, you want to actually negotiate with the factories and have the factories help you. And by that meaning that you don't pay for everything up front. That's one of the first mistakes a lot of founders make. You negotiate where you say, hey, look, we have the military. This is the military. There's going to be, huge orders coming. Give me your best price. What is, et cetera. Get them to commit to that up front, but also they can carry a lot of the costs for a period of time where you don't have to pay for everything up front, like I said. So that's an important factor of I consider factories kind of like an interest-free loan where you can have them go and help you and become a true partner. Because a lot of people they just see like factories as just, it's totally replaceable, all of this stuff, etc. And you really want to form a strategic partnership. What I do and why I've been successful in my career is that I'm really big on forming strategic partnerships with
Mhm.
every single vendor that I work with, and I bring them along with the business. So to that extent, um when with
It been
the
my
question that you have,
experience.
you have some special moats there where you already have the license, you have the logo, you have, the military. And so you need to basically put your military cap on. You're now a representation of the Army, right? And so
Right,
you need to be going into your meetings like that, not as I'm just this business owner that's selling these, women's shoes.
right.
You're now a representation of the Army and you have all those resources and the things, that they have, are technically also yours. So use that factor in your negotiations. That's going to help you with your cash flow. That's going to help you where, the billing terms that you have for payment.
Right.
It's just super important that you get them to give you the best and longest terms,
Okay.
so that way you can actually scale safely.
Okay. Thank you for that. Yeah, I'm going to go to China and visit them before we place the order to get, start that really solid relationship.
Yeah, and not just them. When you're there in China, you want to visit a few other factories too to
Okay.
see, and then you also want to look at some factories that can do things on demand. And the on demand would be more for your D2C brand, not for your B2B orders.
Right.
But on the on-demand side, there's 3PLs that are in China that you can ship from your factory to a 3PL, and then it gets air freighted directly to the customer. It
Mhm.
was better when we had the de minimis in terms of pricing, but there's still the de minimis in different countries globally. So that factor of actually shipping direct to the consumer
Mhm.
directly from China and bypassing having to ship it on a boat, put it in a warehouse, and then ship it to the customer. Those days are gone. We're in a new normal where there are these 3PLs that are strategically positioned in different countries, China, Vietnam, etc. and more are coming into play. The one that I like is called Portless, which
I
is
think I talked to
great.
them. I
Yeah.
think I talked to them, Portless. Yes. Thank you. Thank you for that information.
Oh, so our friend Angela Scarlett is a late joiner, and I'm going to give her a chance to introduce herself. Are you
Hi
muted, Angela?
everyone.
Wait.
Hi everyone. My name is Angela Scarlett. I'm pleased to be here. I'm calling in from Toronto. I'm a lawyer. I have a couple of hats. I'm lawyer in residence with the University of Toronto Entrepreneurship, an official mentor for the Scarborough campus as well. I have my own business called Tell AI. It's at retellai.com. And I just put my LinkedIn profile in the chat to connect with everyone. Thank you.
So if you have a question for Laurie, here's a good time to ask.
Hey, Laurie. So I've got a couple of questions. One fairly straightforward. In terms of, so if you look at your experience, there's a development of the website and sort of the user experience of ordering flowers and everything else after that. And then there's the logistics behind it of getting perishable goods in their hands quickly. Which one do you think is more important and crucial, and which one was harder to do?
This is an amazing question. So here's the thing. So perishable goods is very similar to what we did with the battery. The battery, I'll go to that one second. So the flowers, the reason why that was so critical is because the minute you start cutting a flower, it dies. And so getting it to the customer, so ProFlowers disrupted the floral industry because we took it where we can get flowers to you and overnight from directly from the grower. And we were able to guarantee that the flowers would stay fresh for 7 days. If you go into a florist and you get a bouquet, it starts to, you literally wilts in a couple days because it's been in all the whole supply chain is so long just to get a flower to you. And so ProFlowers disrupted the market. And the thing that happened with that, with perishable goods, is we were noticed by this guy that had a bookstore. His name was Jeff, and he sold a lot of books online.
I know him.
So, and so he actually hired our company and my developers. We had 50 at ProFlowers, and he had a hypothesis. And his hypothesis was if he can build a supply chain to sell something perishable, then he could sell anything. So he had our developers, we had 50 on our end, he had 100 at Amazon. We split this project where we split the code and we merged the code together. And Pro Flowers was actually the first product sold on Amazon that wasn't a book. So you had a tab for books and you had a tab Pro Flowers. And so the perishable logistics and supply chain is actually super critical because after that, everything else is easy. It's easy to sell a pencil. It's easy to sell, a bandage, etc. It's harder to sell something that expires or that dies. And so, and then on the car battery side, we have a little bit more, it's a little bit more complex because we have something that's hazardous material, we have something that needs to be recycled, we have something that has a warranty, and then we have something that literally, can't be shipped, to different states, etc. So all of those different factors make a car battery a very difficult product to sell. And so, making it where it's a concierge, someone's bringing it to you from the location that it's at just makes it so much easier and faster. So yeah, so actually having a product that's a difficult product or perishable, when you're building out your supply chain around that, you cover all of the bases. There isn't anything that you aren't prepared for. So that would be the answer.
I appreciate that. And then the second one, I've actually got it's not my main business, but I'm an advisor to funny enough, a fashion company. They make baseball hats I can send you kind of the background on it, but they're dealing with the logistics chains from China and et cetera. It's B2C. Would love to introduce you because what you're talking about, I mean, we're looking for investment there as well. But even more than that, some of the stuff that you're dropping is absolute, you know, gold and diamond dust. Would definitely appreciate getting kind of, a little bit more of that if you're interested.
Yeah, definitely. And that sounds like it might be a good fit to review with the investment arm that does the from the athlete side.
Yeah,
Because we have
absolutely.
professional, baseball players, football players, basketball players, etc.
Yeah,
Um,
and it's an urban wear as well,
yeah,
so
yeah.
it sounds like a logical fit. But I think your expertise in logistics and B2C would be even more valuable than the investment. But is LinkedIn, what's the best way to get in touch with you? Is
I
it
put my
email,
contact
LinkedIn?
information, literally my phone number and email in the chat.
Oh, it's maybe it's somewhere up above.
Yeah, it's up above. Yeah.
I'll send it to you, Alex.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Um, I have a question as well. I don't know how to raise hand here.
That's okay.
Sorry. Um, so since you work with marketplaces and it's an AI era, let's say, how do you see the perspective for marketplaces integrating AI? Like, will they evolve to something different in close future? Because I can see that a lot of marketplaces have like AI agents to help you, like just to search. But maybe in the future they will be able to um, gather all the information and provide you with their like one solution. I need flowers for this time here, looking like queen's flowers, red color, and here is your product. What do you think? And in what direction do you go?
Yeah, so AI it was really interesting because I kind of see two different things here happening with AI. So the people that are like a full stack developer, like my partner, they're using AI in a different way to really solve problems quickly. So when ChatGPT came out the next day, my partner locked himself in his home office for like 30 days and he coded for the business, real projects that we had on the table. And after that 30 days, he came out of there understanding that the first version of ChatGPT was about 95% correct in the code that it was producing, and there was a 5% delta. So that 5% was what he was working on. And in that 30 days, he was able to code as much as he did the prior year. And so that, kind of use case really changed the way that we ran our business and what we were doing. So we started, and some of the things that he programmed in that 30-day period is he was looking at, efficiencies for the business and how we could do things better. For example, we had a problem where our delivery drivers, sometimes they would just go to the closest store to pick up. And that battery might actually be more expensive. If they drove one more mile to the next store over, we would have saved like, $20 or whatever and stuff for 1 mile, right? And so he programmed our company to actually look at that, sending the drivers to the most cost effective supplier, but then if it's a Sunday and it's like 2 p.m. and stores are going to be closing at 5, then, he coded it to like all hands are off. Just go pick up wherever you can pick up. Doesn't matter because there's only 2 hours left before, the stores are closing and stuff. And so having that kind of logic and understanding and like using AI to help to solve real problems for businesses like a marketplace is something important. And then what you're talking about from a user perspective, AI is going to make recommendations and all of this stuff, but it may not be, there's still, people taking recommendations is one thing, but you still have to make that decision as a human. So I really see it where we're getting more information faster and more suggestions. And the number one thing that I have with Google is Google's getting worse at recommending things because they're trying to make money. And the reason why Google became so big in the first place was when it came out, it gave us exact results of what we were looking for, and everybody's mind was blown. The results were so specific that it made life so much easier. And so what Google did was they created less friction. And so anytime you have a business that you're creating less friction and AI is creating less friction for you, less clicks Amazon was built on less click, one click checkout, all of these different things. That's where AI is, I see AI coming is it's becoming that, you know, um, where we have all of these moats that AI is helping us with instead of just one or two. And that's also, something that you want to look at as a user is not just to be building something because AI is a sexy word and oh, we should be having AI here or we should have an AI concierge for this or that. That may not actually be a better experience for the customer. So you always want to also think about, is this the best experience that a customer can have by putting this tool forward? Hopefully that helps.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, I have a couple of questions, Laurie. So I think you actually just answered one of them. But the first is, do you know this fellow Atul Prashar who has been a guest on this show?
No, this is
I
my
know,
first time on the show,
I,
unfortunately. So
I,
happy to be here.
I know Tool very well. I'll introduce you because
Yeah.
he's also in the sports world and he's an investor as well. But go
Yeah.
ahead.
Yeah. Well, the other question, I mean, you kind of answered it, but like, I mean, have you invested in kind of like primarily AI companies where AI is the main focus or not?
No, all over the place. So we've invested in things like software like Grin, which is an influencer software, to CPG products like Liquid Death. So it's all it we because we have a background in all of these things. So what we look at is really, is this a company that's going to be profitable, that they're actually solving, real problems, or they have a factor that makes them so different than what anybody else is doing. And so it's those things that are really interesting to us because, a lot of people are putting a lot of stuff out there. And it's funny the deal flow that we see where, I'm not going to name names, but let's just say like a celebrity comes with a brand, for example, and they want to do something in like skincare or makeup or whatever. And they're like, well, we're a celebrity, so we want, $4 million right up front. And it's like, okay, so you're telling me the business that you're going to be an investor in, you want to make them be negative $4 million before it even gets going, and stuff. So we really look at things from, how can we get to things profitability? And then I also am a big proponent of, you know, um, what are the things that we don't have to pay for or that we can exchange and barter for? And so, when I worked for Martha Stewart, it was interesting because she was going to jail at the time that we were building her flower company. So I had a very short period of time with her before she was completely unavailable to me. Completely unavailable. So, and the thing with that is that it was fascinating that Martha, I consider her to be one of the first influencers, but she built her business as a media company through bartering. And so what that entailed was because she had a radio show, because she had a TV show, because she had magazines, if there was a vendor, and I'm just going to pick a random vendor, let's say the person who's coming to paint her office, instead of paying that guy cash, she would say, Mr. Painter, how about a little commercial on my radio show? And, so she's selling all of her remnant ad space like nobody's business. She's bartering with it. And so how she built Martha Stewart Living Omni is the cash that she had was only used if there was no other way to get that service or item through bartering. And so she really had a huge amount of cash flow that she could deploy and launch other businesses and other divisions. So being a media company and having media behind you in any way is super important. And there's so many different types of media. If you're a company like ours and we have people out on the road in their cars can be an advertisement, themselves. There's so many different ways that you can look at how you can, really expand and not spend money. I see so many deals where people are like, well, if I could just get investment, I can go and do this, that, and the other. And there's actually tons of things from a marketing perspective that you can do where you don't need, or it's a very, very small investment, like affiliate marketing, going and having an affiliate, platform to have a whole bunch of different affiliates promote your product is very, very cheap, And there's a lot of other things out there that are like that. Social media is free to go and make your own social accounts and get organic social media. So I always look at how can I actually honor the dollar and get to profitability faster and not have to go around looking, for outside capital, if possible. Outside capital is the last thing that I look for. And then when I do look for outside capital for a project or something, it would be smart money where I need that person's skill set for something. So yeah, so that's really how we approach things is of like, can we barter? Can we partner? Like our partnership with DoorDash didn't cost us anything, It was
Yeah.
literally a Zoom call.
No, that's a great insight. I mean, basically we're a media company too, and you've given me some ideas. I think I'm gonna look into that. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And what was your other question, Eden?
Yeah.
Oh, well, no, those are the two questions. One was about Atul, and the other one was about, whether she invests in AI firms, so specifically. So, but like she answered a different question, which was very, very, very interesting. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and then just to answer about AI,
Yeah.
we look at so the thing is this, there people don't understand there's like three or four different things that make up AI. And we've been working with AI for years. I do a lot of things with SEO and there's a lot of different things that are actually technically AI in terms of the using the large language models and ChatGPT is just new because the GPT type of AI is just started with OpenAI and then there's all the clones of that and everything. And so uh, because we're a tech company and we have a technical background, we understand that it's not just about these sexy terms. Everybody's putting AI on things and they don't even actually have it defined correctly first of all, so of what
Yeah.
they're doing. And so we really look under the hood to make sure that, whoever is talking about AI actually understands the version of it that they're dealing with. And if they don't, then that's a red flag for us.
Right. Well, that's a very important point. I appreciate your underlining that. So, because I do the same. Yeah.
I want to point out my car wash I go to all of a sudden says it's an AI car wash.
No, it's not. It's not an AI car wash.
How does
Really? No, so
No,
disappointing.
it is not an AI car wash. It is
They,
not 100%. I can tell you it is not.
they may use sensors, but no AI.
Yeah, that was like Adam Newman saying that WeWork was a tech company. It wasn't. It was a real estate firm.
Hi,
So,
Laurie. So my background is a little bit different than yours. I come from a tech background, and actually, I spent most of my career developing and architecting software across industries, and I think we have that in common. And right now, I'm working with a group of startups that are in the AI space. They are actually experienced operators that have built out Web 1 and Web 2, and they're building out Web 4. And instead of focusing on large language models and applications, they're focusing on the infrastructure that powers them,
Mhm.
because that's a space where most people are not spending any time. And so, as a result of that, they're solving the energy crisis that's being caused by the uncontrolled build out of data centers across the United States. And so, they're solving it at the root level, which is at the server level. And they've been able to achieve quantum capabilities on a regular silicon chip computer. Their MIT, their software has been vetted by MIT. CERN, the guys that smash atoms together, are looking at their software, and the DoD has interest in their software to make it reference architecture. So I'd be very interested in speaking with you separately on the investment side about taking a look at these companies.
Sure, I'd love to. Just, I actually do have a background in all of that. We have a company called the Volt Collective that actually builds data centers.
Fantastic. Well,
Builds data centers. But more importantly, I actually do understand what you're doing. There's another company that we work with, um, uh, that basically it's called trireme compression. They do super compression, and so they're actually already work with the DoD on stuff. And so what happens with that company is the government has all of these different technologies that they use, and then 10 years down the road, they'll like grant the release of version one. because they're already on version, 11, 12, 13, etc. And so Trireme Compression is a company that, when you have there's so many companies that are just getting rid of or closing down, like MTV got rid of its news library and then shut down. Part of it was because of the cost of storage of all of that stuff. So what you're talking about is actually super important because there is an energy problem. And that type of business is something that's very, very interesting because it's needed. Because the thing is this, the all the big companies are gonna win and get the stuff that they need. It's the smaller companies that are gonna be left out. And so
Yeah.
that's where what you're talking about is important because you'll be able to go after the market share of the people who can't get access, to the deals that the bigger companies are rolling through.
Absolutely. So right now, compute is highly concentrated with like four companies, right? And what they're going to be doing is decentralizing compute across 1 billion nodes, which will drive down the cost of compute, spur global innovation. Um, and even DARPA is interested in what they're doing. So this is very timely solutions for a global problem where you see our government wants to solve it by they just have an $80 billion commit to Westinghouse to create nuclear power plants and small modular reactors, which I think is just not a good direction to take the country and the world into. So solving the underlying problem of the energy problem is actually an inefficiency problem brought about the fact that our computers were never designed to handle AI workloads. And as a result, they're wholly inefficient at it. And so solving it at the server level drives innovation across every company on the planet.
Yeah, absolutely. That's amazing. Congrats on that.
Thank you.
So
So I'll send you an email.
Yeah,
So
I'm gonna
if I
say,
can get Bonnie, I don't mean to interrupt you.
oh, go ahead, Joseph.
With my company, I'm they're the cha it's a vertical integration. So we've made an LLM app, or a wrapper at least, for just wellness kind of questions like what can you do for this and that, using my clinical expertise. But the idea is to, be able to implement this into a hardware, into these 12 by 10 by 10 chambers that'll be multimodal. And the chambers have sensors and they'll be able to pick up on, people's biomarkers and help them be more healthy. We're not replacing doctors, we're in the wellness field. Basically, you could think about it, the treadmill telling you what speed you should go instead of you trying to guess for your ideal outcome. Uh, the issue I'm running into with my tech hire is a lot of people think, oh yeah, I can do AI. Oh, I can do AI. But it's exactly your thing. There's different kinds of AI. And when you start talking about these sensors and wellness modalities, it is a different kind. There's actuators and they're just analyzing. And of course, every individual is different. And I'm running into this issue. I don't have the technical background to know when they're calling BS, the kind of AI I'm looking for, the experience I'm looking for, and it's really causing an issue with this hiring process. Any idea with your background, what to do about that in my predicament?
Yeah, so in your hiring process, are you giving them any like projects that they have to do in the interview process so you can actually test and see what they can do?
I did that once and it worked out okay, and then turned out to be a flop hire anyway. I'm like, oh.
Okay.
So I tried, but I should reinstitute that. Okay. And what sort
Yeah.
of project? I mean,
Well, anything. Like, so the thing is this, like the real killers out there, they look at the things that are like um easy projects, hard middle, kind of projects, and then harder projects. And then as you have different candidates come in based on the skill set that they have, if you think someone could possibly be someone that you'd pin to a harder project, give them one of those and see what they come back with. If it's someone who, you can't really tell, etc., give them a middle one. And then if, the easy ones could be for someone with a lower tier type of position or something like that. When you look at the hiring process and what the people that actually are a good culture fit, one of the first things that you should be doing actually is your really good employees who are doing what you want them to do and they have that skill set. You need to ask them, who do they know who could they possibly refer that you could give them some type of bonus or something that they, because a lot of people, birds of a feather flock together, et cetera. So if you have someone who's a killer, who's like really, really good at what they're doing, most likely they have some other people or they know other people or they've come across or what have you. And I would start there, start internally and seeing if you can get people that way first. And then also, like I said, implement the, kind of pre-test. It's funny. The former head of Google Retail, his name was Frank, and he told me the story the other day of how he got his job at Google. And so Google went and they did all of these different interviews for him and they made him do all of this stuff. Then he went into a class. So they had this little like kind of intern class thing at Google. So he's going and he's doing all this stuff. And he thought, I definitely got the job, you know? And so he's there with all these people, and it was kind of like the Hunger Games, where if they, every week people would disappear and whatnot from his class until there was like two or three people left. And then they told him, now you can go and have your second interview. Okay. So
So that's not just my problem. It sounds like it's a whole entire tech industry problem.
yeah, so you have to be kind of very revolutionary in terms of to find those unicorns and to find people. And then also too, you really want to also look at someone who actually has that can be in tech, but also has an artist or marketing background, because those guys are the actual true unicorns who because it's very hard to work with a lot of technical people are very introverted and they like are very, focused on the science and the math of things. But the real, like, actual unicorns that I've found that I work with or that I've hired, they also have a really great sense of marketing or art. And so, um, because artists, they think outside the box and they have, that, kind of capability. So if you can find people that also have an art background or architecture, anything like that, plus the technology, coding, science and math, then those are people that are the real special people. Because they can understand all the way to get to the product market fit and understand the customer. So those are the people that I look at.
Okay. I think you're inadvertently feeding my ego as well, so I appreciate that. I wrote a novel before I went into business, so thanks. I'm a unicorn.
I might have,
Laurie,
I
you
might
say you
have,
said that you like to help solve problems, big problems. And if you want to look at one of the biggest problems in the United States, it's chronic disease. It's 90% of all the pennies that are spent on healthcare. And I will contact you. I would love to. We've built a platform that truly can help prevent lots of costs in the treatment and move more toward precision preventive care. Would love to talk to you about how do we scale that? How do we market that? If healthcare is one of the issues that your team is interested in, I would love to see if we could solicit your help to help us scale this.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. That is something. And one of the companies that I look at very closely, what they're doing is Mark Cuban's Cost Plus. They
Uh-huh.
really, really, revolutionized, the pharmaceutical industry. And it's things like it's industries and things like that where you go in where everyone's so stuck and this is how the pharmaceutical industry works. No one else is going to come in and disrupt it. Well, you can. And so yeah, so definitely we can connect offline.
This is a fascinating call, by the way. Thank you. Thanks, Bonnie and Joseph, for
oh yes, I'm going to have you back in a few months, Laurie, if you don't mind.
Yeah, no problem at all. This has been super fun.
I know, and I know you're going to have a lot more stories. You haven't even talked about your skincare line.
Oh yeah, I haven't talked about that.
But
Or the sneakers.
I know the sneakers are your immediate focus. It's
I
funny.
know, yeah. Yeah,
I
yeah,
was
yeah.
just reading an article about a guy who's been interviewing with a company for 2 years and just had his 168th interview. That's insane.
I
Wow.
saw that
That's
was on LinkedIn, right, Bonnie?
Yep, that's
Yeah,
right.
I saw.
So next question is we're down to the wire.
what's your skincare line?
so that's actually very interesting.
I've
So
been involved in two skincare startups and exits. That's what it's kind of interesting.
yeah, so we have some things coming out in the self-tan market, but so my partner I mentioned earlier he had an ERP company called Keller Systems, which he still has. And enterprise level clients from L'Oreal on down. And what he started to do is he started to take equity or become a CTO of companies that use his e-commerce ERP. Um, and one of the companies that was on there is called NYX Cosmetics. And he ended up selling NYX Cosmetics to his other client, L'Oreal, for a lot of money. And it was interesting because when you build a beauty brand, you have a lot of different IP from the actual um, customer data, the e-commerce business, the brand, itself, and all of the brand assets, to also the formulas is also IP. And so L'Oreal in that transaction, because my partner wanted another $10 million for the e-commerce business and the formulas, L'Oreal was like, we're L'Oreal. We've got our own formulas. We've got a lot of customers. So we're not going to pay you that $10 million more than the 600 million we're already giving you for this business. So you keep that. And we'll just go and, make NYX Cosmetics with our own formulas. So he sold NYX Cosmetics, but they did not buy the e-commerce business or the e-commerce customers or the formulas. So we own all of that. So, creating a new beauty brand for us is very, very easy because we have the formulas already ready to go to market, formulas and everything. So that's just something that we have in our back pocket, that we're looking for the right celebrity partner to partner up to roll up that business again. And and it's interesting because a lot of people don't really understand when they do valuations of their company that the IP or the ready to go to market product is actually so important. And it's actually one of the big things that can make or break a brand. And when you have a great library of product that you can roll out, it makes it a lot easier. You can move faster, and you also can really do a lot of testing of the market to find out what are your hero products, and make more of those. And I see, Adva, you have your hand raised.
Yeah, thanks a lot. So first of all, I'm going to start by saying that, Laurie, I think your journey is inspiring. So thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you.
I do have a question regarding my own challenges. Is currently I'm looking for a partner, CEO, and CFO, and I'm a CPO, and my main expertise is learning the user, diving into data, and really kind of being very creative. And when looking for my partners, any main questions that I should ask myself and them to make sure we have more a better fit?
Yeah, so you really should look at what are the things that you really love to do from your skill set, and what are the things that you don't, like to do or don't want to dive in. So my partner, Richard Keller, like I said, he's a forensic accountant. And I love data. I love going into reports and analyzing things and all of this stuff, but I'm not as fast as he is. He's way faster than me at that. And so having him go and do that means that I can go and do the creative stuff that I like to do or other things. So it's really also about what are things that you're passionate about, and finding, a partner that has complementary skill sets or things that you just don't want. Like, I don't have to worry about the accounting when my partner is a forensic accountant. The accounting is really handled, even though we have a separate accountants, the accountants have to answer to him, and stuff. And so the thing is that um as you're looking, you really want to make sure that who you're working with has something that is super critical for you in your business that you can't do. My partner and I, we have a lot of crossover. He's a marketer, I'm a marketer. I've built over 100 websites. I do a lot of front-end UX, UI, etc. I don't do the deep coding that he does, but I've built 100 websites myself. And so um uh having the also having complementary, so where he can go on vacation and know the business is in my hands, I can go on vacation and know the business is I'm not going to get too many calls while I'm on vacation, with my family or whatever, because we have some complementary, skill sets that overlap. But also, too, if you're doing this like a Venn diagram, you want to make sure that the skill sets is more things that you don't, have in your wheelhouse. And then that's going to make it really, really helpful where you don't have too many cooks in the kitchen that you guys are trying to override each other, on different things, and you feel comfortable that your partner has, your back and has the area of focus that you've, assigned to them. That's where it's very helpful in terms of who you're looking for. Because a lot of people, they look at candidates and they look at candidates, they have this fancy resume, they've done all these great things and all of this stuff. But you really want to look at how do you like your day to be? Do you want to have your day, trying to follow up and, all of this stuff with this person? Or do you want to have someone who's got, those skill sets, and then they come to you for your skill sets? And that's when you have a beautiful relationship. So
Yeah.
really look at the candidates and people like that. And then you also want to make sure that whoever it is in the areas, that they're actually passionate about those areas. Okay. And so we had an expert at one of our companies who, came in as an AI expert. And then I had a conversation with him. He's like, I only want to do this for a couple of years. And then I'm going to, because he has other things. I'm going to go and do other things. I'm like, okay, well, this person isn't as passionate about AI as we thought, So it's
Yeah, you
important.
want them to be invested.
Yeah, totally interested in the area for sure.
Yeah. So any advice on where to find them?
That is
Yeah,
the
that's
thing. So
right.
one of the best things that I do, I'm really a super connector. Is I go to different industry events. I go to things like Shop Talk and CES, and I go to a lot of different private masterminds and things, and networking in that way. That's really one of the best ways that you find people. Also, I always talk to my Uber driver. I do use Uber like crazy. And you'd be surprised at who you find, driving Uber and, all of these different things as their side hustle. So there's a lot of different innovative ways that you can, do things. And then, for example, for my 1-800 battery business, as if I take an Uber where the person is, taking out my luggage and doing all these things and is just such an amazing driver, I'm like, do you know this company 1-800 battery? That we hire people like you to go and do this. So as I'm going through my life, I'm recruiting, always be recruiting, always doing things. So look at it like that, where as you're going through doing your regular day and regular things, to ask that question, ask people what they're doing, what are they expert in, etc. You might find the right candidate in that way.
Perfect. Yeah. So I'm sharing now to everyone. I'm looking for CEO, CPO. I have my contact shared
There you go.
in the chat. So yeah, thank you. Thanks so much.
So I know we're out of time, and I really thank you, Laurie. I wonder if there's one more question.
Sure, I'll take one more.
How many hours a day do you work?
Oh, well, with this startup, we are enough. I've literally been working 22-hour days for like the last 2 weeks. It's been the craziest launch I've ever had.
We got to get into skincare too. That should be interesting.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. But the thing is that like I do things in tranches, like I mentioned, so it makes it a lot easier where I'm doing, the same thing but for 3 companies or 5 companies at the same time. So that just really makes my life a lot easier. And then also the areas of focus that I focus on, from beauty, fashion, skincare, CPG, and tech. I'm not out there trying to go and, do something with animals or something like that. Like I really also stay in the lanes that I know really well, and then go from there. So
Perfect. Thank you.
thanks, guys.
This was fantastic. And I thank you so much, unless you have some parting words of advice, since you have so much great advice that you've already imparted.
Yeah, I mean, I would say the most important thing that I've done always has been connecting, people, connecting brands, connecting products together. and just be unconventional, and when you start looking at things of how can you solve problems that are a little bit unconventional. I'll leave you with one funny one that I did at ProFlowers is we did data analysis and we found out that the Gap actually had the exact same customer base that we had. So we partnered with the Gap, and Gap was a way bigger company than we were at the time. And at the end of the order process, you got a pop-up saying get $10 off your Gap jeans. And so then people would go, we'd send our customers to Gap, they'd go get their jeans. And then at the end of their order on Gap, people would get a pop-up saying get a free glass vase from ProFlowers. That cost Gap and ProFlowers $0 to implement a pop-up at the end of the checkout. And so we were sending for free our customers back and forth to each other. And so that was one of the funnest promotions and stuff that I did in strategic partnerships. And so just think about unconventional strategic partnerships that can really help benefit your guys' organizations. And it doesn't have to cost a lot.
That's true. Always start smaller, improve yourself, and then you get clients. Everybody wants the big clients. I'm working with somebody who wanted the big clients, but he started with a small client, and that was fantastic. Now they have the big clients.
Exactly, exactly.
Yep. Thank you so much. Now you can go back to sleep for 10 minutes.
Thanks, everyone. No, now I got to get back to work and
I
lunch
know.
enough.
Thank you.
She
Bye,
probably had her
guys.
2 hours of sleep. She's good.
Yeah,
That's
thanks.
great.
I did.
Thanks, Laurie.
Thanks,
Very
guys.
good stuff.